Hi everyone, I'm Fatimah Benta Gimse, a screenwriter and producer, and you're listening to Sceneful Sundays.
Did Nigeria break your spirit?
Listen, sometimes not that reliable, but it's the voice of the people sometimes. You know you're a good doctor if people don't keep dying.
A podcast that highlights storytellers and filmmakers in Nollywood.
Because I don't want anybody to drag me if you see me doing another Lolaro. Just now I was broke.
I go to audition for a project and it's full of these guys from Big Brother. I'm like, I went to drama school now. I have masters in acting now.
Do you have 1 million followers?
Here we talk about everything from career ups and downs to personal gist and all the juicy things that go into the world of storytelling as we know it.
Director.
We're on. Down.
Okay. All right. Hi, Folu.
Hello, Fatimah.
Okay, so before we start, you're talking about like appreciating 30 plus life.
Yes, 30 plus.
And I liked what you're saying. So I think that's a very good way to like just
to get into.
Let's dive in.
I think for me, like getting older is such an exciting thing. I feel more free the older I get. Definitely the more the age advances. Because you just get to a place where you realize, I mean, I'm not a child. It's just me. You can't talk to me anyhow. You can't, all the shakara.
Yeah.
And I think even more than that, I'm less concerned with likability. And that's a big trap for women and for young people. This idea that everyone must like you and if you don't do like this, don't hate, that's your business. That is your business.
You're not paying my bills.
I do make sure that, I try not to be deliberately rude, mean, or dehumanizing to anybody. I think that's an important way. Just don't be an asshole, Like,
That's
can I swear? But don't be a dick.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. But other than that, how you feel about me is none of my business. It's actually your issue. It's a personal problem, not my own.
Love it. Love the energy. So overall, how are you doing? Like, how are you doing? How's 2021 treating you?
Overall, I'm doing well.
Is that a real answer?
Yes, and I'm going
not
to
a
explain.
textbook answer. Okay,
No,
good. Explain.
No, not at all. Because I live by certain, I don't want to say they're ideologies, but by certain principles. There's a way I look at life, And I think perspective is very important for everything. The reality is your life is no more than a moment. It's now to now to now to now to now.
Yeah.
In this exact moment, I am completely healthy. I've just eaten half of a nice chicken wrap, which was delicious. I found some green stuff drink. I was like, oh, healthy vitality,
Fit fam.
AC's blowing me in the room. I'm okay.
So
I'm
you're
good.
very present and in the moment.
Not always, but I try to be. That's the aim. And when people ask me that question, I do take a moment and sit. Sometimes I'm more restless than others, where maybe you don't feel... Yeah, everybody goes through it, man. Where you don't feel particularly fulfilled. You're like, oh, there's this thing I want to do. I haven't done it. Okay, but then when you take a step back, you're like, okay, relax. You're doing pretty well in the scheme of things, right?
Yeah.
So overall, I am well. The year, this 2021, has had moments of anxiety, but I feel like it's the same as last year and the year before. There's always something for us to worry about. There's always something to freak out about.
Sure.
You can't solve all of the world's problems.
Fair.
So when you feel overwhelmed, a good trick for people who are anxious, why lots, is narrow it down, bring it back in, focus on your immediate life, and remember that you're good, and keep it moving.
Zen moments with Folu Storms.
Hello. That's right. All the finger
Glitters
snaps.
everywhere. Okay, I'm just going to go into this because, again, because you mentioned feeling restless, because you present as this zen, chill, good
Really?
vibes, butterflies, big eyes.
Is that my vibe?
Hippie,
I love it.
all of that.
Disney, give
that.
me this money.
Should we just drop a quote kind of person? And it's like, have you always been this person? You know why I'm saying so? Because somebody told me, someone was like, oh, they watched the video where you took out your dreads.
Yeah.
And like, oh my God, Folu went deep. And I was like, oh my God. I'm like, well, that's expected. And like, she went deep. Like, she was giving us spiritual. I was like, why are you surprised? So I feel like, have you always been that person?
I'm always evolving. I think everybody is. But my
See-
evolution
see-
game is
See the
deep.
answer. I'm always evolving.
No, because you need to understand. Because I haven't always been that person. I
Yeah,
haven't.
fair.
I've come from a place of, I think, a lot of anxiety, concern. Like everybody else. I mean, your 20s are really just like your teenage years. So I didn't have teenage angst. I had 20s angst.
Okay.
Right? And I don't know if that's a thing for anybody else. Because when you watch the movies growing up, and I've always been a big movie person, I like watching films. I love reading books. I escape into a different world when it comes to entertainment, right?
Yeah.
And when we're younger and you're watching all these things, all the stars and the characters are all in their 20s. So you think you're supposed to figure it out.
Coming of age.
It's a lie. It's a motherfucking lie. It's a lie. And I wish that someone had said that to me younger. I really wish someone was like, you're not supposed to know it all now.
Yeah.
All this university pressure, you have to study this, if you don't study this, you can't get to that. No, everybody's figuring it out the whole way through. So that's why I said, like, now, if I'm projecting that way, it's a conscious projection because I want people to think that way. And you can become the things that you see. If you don't see certain things presented, it's not a reality for you. You will call it weird, you'll call it strange. But now, because we have access to levels of technology that maybe I didn't have growing up as a child.
Yeah.
You can see a lot more of your tribe. You know, people can fly their freak flag and it's cool. Like, you'll find your own little group of freaks who are like, oh, well, yeah, whoop, whoop.
Hashtag freak flag.
You know,
what
like,
color is that
fly
flag?
it high. Fly, whatever, your own can be different
Tie-dye.
color. Daisies, you know. So I've just found that it's okay, express how I feel. And it's interesting for me to see that there are people who not only empathize or feel it. Sometimes it can feel like people understand you, but are resonating with that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, cool. That's kind of the goal, right? Be the ambassador of the thing you want to see in the world.
See, just quotes, just
Deep quote.
quotables everywhere. Okay. So let's go into where we're here.
Okay.
So want to talk about your journey into Nollywood, because I know you're a lawyer, UK and
Yes.
Nigerian trained lawyer.
Yes.
What are you doing here? How did you find yourself?
Sound like my uncle. Why are you here?
Yes.
Why are you here? From when I decided what to study at university, which is during my A-levels, or GCSEs into A-levels, I was like, okay, law, because you go through, I did part of secondary school here in Nigeria.
Yeah.
I've lived in Nigeria my whole life, but I, back and forth from about the age of 14 because school, uni, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And through GCSEs, you get student counseling, and they're like, okay, what do you want to do? Guidance, your guidance counselor, and you pick. And so law made sense to me because, one, as a kid, I felt like lawyers are the ones that make things right in the world. I remember growing up during the Abacha era, execution of the Ogoni tribesmen. It resonated. Those things, Nigeria the block was hot. So when people shout, this is the worst time ever, I'm like, people, your memory is short.
Yeah,
I don't like how we
clearly.
talk like that because it's not true. It's not great, but it's also not true. It's the worst.
Yes.
So I loved law. I loved studying law. I loved the idea that I could help person A and person B do business together. Because as a lawyer, the kind of law I was interested in was just corporate mergers and acquisitions, that sort of thing, contract law, solicitor work, is you're helping people do business. You're helping societies function. You're like, what do you want? What do you want? Oh, we can figure it out. It's not a fight.
Yeah.
And so when I came to Nigeria to do law school, it was very interesting. People were like, lawyer, people, you like to argue. I said,
That's what the thing. When you say lawyer, oh, you argue a lot. I'm like,
that's a problem. Your lawyer should not be a combative.
my lord, may I?
Do you know what I mean? Like, go and fight the judge. the kind of, no. So I loved it, but moving to Nigeria, I loved it less.
Of course.
Nigerian law school was a humbling experience.
How?
People are mad. Like,
The
people
fact that it took a moment.
because I had to, it took me 3 days to register. And this 3 days to register, because you have to go to Abuja Law School. If you studied outside of Nigeria, it doesn't matter where in the world. You have to come back first 3 months, you do bar 1. So there's bar 1 and there's bar 2. Bar 1 is where the foreign trained lawyers come back and learn crash course in aspects of Nigerian law. Because if you studied in a common law country, or a country where common law is the law of the land, it's very similar to Nigerian law, which is common law based. But there are aspects of Nigerian law that are very peculiar, such as customary laws existing side by side with common law. And that doesn't exist in very many places in the world. So that's the sort of thing that you learn in Bar 1. Now, when I got to law school, the first thing you'll notice is they call you an alien, because it's a legal definition of someone who's a foreigner, right?
Oh.
So they're like, oh, you aliens, you don't know book? It's the Nigerian law students that know book. I mean, first of all, that you're already sitting there trying to create some kind of segregation between myself and my Nigerian counterparts is wild to me. Plus, we're all Nigerian. That's why we're
And
here,
to your
bro.
face, they're calling you
Bro,
an alien.
to your face,
You can't fight it.
Nobody sends you. Fight now. You see, that's the introduction to learning how a courtroom also works, because the judge can say whatever he likes to you and be however he
didn't
likes.
know that.
And you just hush up and you take it. You take it on the chin. Yes, my lord.
Like, I
Your
didn't know that
cousin, yes,
until we
ma'am.
walked on a legal show and the judge was making fun of the lawyer. And I was like, is that allowed? It's a thing.
I've been in a courtroom where the judge was a call technician inside to be insulting technician, asking about AC. I was like, how far this guy? Don't we have things to do? He sat for 20 minutes and adjourned. Yeah.
Because of the AC.
Because he just didn't give 2 Fs.
Wow,
And it happens that way.
diva.
Not all the judges are like that.
course,
So there's
of
some
course.
incredibly proficient, efficient, they're hardworking. in really horrible circumstances. But Nigerian law school gave me my first proper insight into why and how systems are completely rotten. Because you allow egomaniacs to run unchecked through your streets.
Yeah.
And people who themselves feel inferior to the students who they're meant to be educating. And that's dangerous. You can't give anybody a quality education if you feel threatened
Yeah.
by that person.
Yeah, you can't even ask questions. You're fighting them.
So again,
automatically.
not all the lecturers at the Nigerian law school were like that, but the system, the institution is problematic, just like most institutions in Nigeria. And I was like, cool. But it prepared me adequately for NYC.
So did you work as a lawyer here?
Yes, for a short time. My father's a lawyer. His father before him was a lawyer and a judge. So I come from a family of lawyers. And I worked with my father's firm. So quitting was an awkward experience.
We'll get there. We're getting there already. So how did you leave
Go from there into entertainment?
Yes.
After working for a little bit of time, I became quite frustrated. I became restless. That restless feeling. And it happens, I think, when you're supposed to grow. And I thought maybe it's because all through my life, I'd always had a creative outlet. So all through schools, I'd performed in one way or another. Stage, musicals, all the way, even down to my master's.
Do you sing?
Yes, on stage. So I've
Okay.
been in musicals, even my master's here at Bristol University. And so I started looking for maybe a dance group I could join in Nigeria. And that's the first time I met Ibrahim Suleiman Quest. He's my first
Captain
entertainment
Quest.
friend. Yes.
Interesting.
I'm sure Ibro has some questionable material from that time. If you ask him and he has it, he'll give it to you. It's quality stuff. Anyways, did that, decided to leave the firm because I just wasn't happy. And I was like, okay, I need to go. I need to do something else. Obviously, that caused huge tension between my family and I.
Yeah.
Because they thought I was mad, actually mad. I'm pretty sure Mumsy had put me in prayer group matters because women on the streets were coming up to me like, oh, your mother in church here, she spoke about you. And I was dating this Russian guy at the time. Like, are you still dating that Oimbo? I was like, what
Dating
is...
Oimbo.
I was like,
Not
what
to go
is
and work as a creative.
You understand?
She has lost the way.
And I didn't even have work as a creative. I didn't even know I wanted to work as a creative. I just used to leave the law firm to go and dance. So my father was like, you are
So
mad.
did you
Okay.
meet Ibrahim when you were a lawyer?
Yes.
Okay, so you saw, you had a peek into what they were doing and you're like, oh, I want to try this.
No. It's a
So
much
was it
longer
restless?
story.
Well, please talk.
Because so I was doing the dancing, then I became frustrated with just going to the office. My father was questioning me that you can't do that.
Yeah.
And so I said, well, let me quit. Because I also had a hair and skincare brand. Interestingly, Ours by Julietta is here. So I had this. It's body butters, hair butters, that kind of thing. And somebody just ordered these, so I'm sending them off.
So you sell this?
Yes, I
Just
do.
plug it though, because I'm interested.
I know, because I've been very silent about it for years, but that's a whole other podcast. Anyways, business in Nigeria. Oh my God. So I was like, in the meantime, so that these people will not harass me because my ego was also at stake. I had been making these things. I was selling them in law school. So I had a bit of money on the side that I was making. But I realized that I needed full-time work money, but part-time hours. So I could do my Ours by Julietta stuff and do a little bit of dancing, whatever the case was when that would come up. And that's how radio came into my life. I had a cousin Koch who was working at Beat FM. And because I'd been doing entertainment things already in the UK and presenting and hosting, and I'd always been a public speaker, I was like, well, this radio thing might work for me. So let me give that a shot. I created a show to put on radio. I created a travel show, the idea for a travel show. At the time,
What's it
was
called?
it was called The Eccentric African.
Okay.
I pitched it to several people. No one ever picked it up, but eventually I got put on radio. And MTV-based VJ Search came along. I applied for that, got queried at the radio
all of
station.
this was before acting.
Yes.
Okay.
My acting journey is a lot. That's the most recent thing. That's my most
I think
recent
I
creative
noticed that.
expression. But I used to act in school. Again, plays, dramas, musicals. It was just a hobby. It wasn't something I realized that people really got paid for like that. Because lawyers have a very set trajectory. So my life was this trajectory until it wasn't. And I was trying to figure it out, right? That's why I said my 20s, it was figuring it out and making money. I was like, just figure it out, get paid. Can you make money? And I realized that if you set your mind to anything, you can do it, more or less.
That's a very nice career, figuring it out and getting paid.
Because my father had told me years ago that an important thing as an adult is if you hit these checkpoints, you're like, okay, everything else is extra. Be able to have a roof over your head.
Yeah.
I was leaving my father's house, check, roof done.
Yeah.
Be able to feed yourself. I could buy myself food, they were feeding me in the house, check.
Not
The
buying
end.
groceries.
You know what I mean? Everything else is extra. And travel was a big thing for me. So I was like, okay, create a travel show, pitch a travel show. It didn't get picked up. But MTV were doing a VJ search. I was like, I can do that. And I was like, don't just say it. put your money where your mouth is and go try. So I applied. I was a top 3 finalist in the year of Ahis. Kemi Smalls and myself were in the top 3. Yeah,
that's a
in
very
2012.
interesting top 3.
Exactly. Well, it wasn't interesting then. There were just these random kids. Like, you know, we looked really scruffy and hungry. It was tough. It was tough. Radio station didn't like that. I got queried for it, even though I told them I was doing this thing. Yes, because my goal had then been, once I got on radio, I was like, do the trifecta. Radio, online, television. That's what you want to do. I pictured Orion Seacrest overseas as my standard.
Okay.
Aikyo Sakyodua was the other standard.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know, follow the trajectory. And lawyers are good at that. Give me a precedence, I'll follow it. And after the VJ search in Danny TV reached out to me, they were just starting. I think they were about a year or 2 in at the time, and said, you know, come in for an interview. And I pitched them my travel show idea. And I got hired by Ndani. So I wanted to work both at Ndani and on radio, but the radio station wouldn't let that happen. So I picked Ndani. I was like, yeah, I'll go. And that's how I became a producer and presenter at Ndani. So I actually started my entertainment journey behind the cameras first. Doing a lot of that work. And it was at Ndani I did my first short film in Nigeria.
What's it called?
Frostbite.
Okay.
Yes. And that has, I think Daniel is even in Frostbite. Etim Efyong. Yeah.
Was it for Ndani or
It was for
independent?
Ndani, Ndani shorts. I did a few of those. Worked in Ndani for about 3.5 years. 4 years. And
Solely
at the
behind
time,
the scenes?
Yes. And at the time, the guys then started, people like Mohamed Atta, Frank Donga, you know, Daniel Esmefek. They were like, oh, why don't you do this acting thing? And I was like, Nollywood. You know what?
But you were technically one leg inside Hollywood.
But this is what they then said to me. You know, I thought like a lawyer. I really didn't, like this entertainment thing, you know, imposter syndrome is real. And I still felt like I was still figuring it out. I was still building. I didn't know, even though I'd been working in this space and building content and building shows. And I was shooting a travel show at this time, which is called The New Africa. So you can find that on Ndani, which eventually years got an AMVCA nominated, which is phenomenal. And that's the first thing that I came up with. Like, I didn't know, it didn't exist. All this travel you see now, travel, it wasn't there. So it was just this babe that sat down and I was like,
Pioneer.
Let me just, you know, but but I'm like, just shoot your shot. And that's the great thing about being young. You're a lot more courageous. And I encourage everyone to keep that.
To be honest, a lot of the industry is actually just shooting your shot.
Yeah. That's life.
Yeah.
Life is shooting your shots. Men know that better than women because they have to shoot their shots all the time.
Quotables again. Quotables.
But that's that male energy. It's like you see something and you go for it. So you try.
Audacity.
Yes, the audacity to try. Be audacious. So I did that and it was Mo and Co that said, you know, do this acting. And I ummed and ahed. And they're like, yeah, but you're already doing it and you're good at it. And plus we're the ones that are making the films now.
Yeah.
And I said, you're right. We make good stuff. So yeah. So that's when I made the decision to fully give it a go. And so in 2015, Relativity Media in conjunction with Afrif had training with Relativity Media Film School. And so myself, Adeswa Atomi, Linda Ejiofor, well now, you know,
Linda Ejiofor,
yeah, you know, Lala Akindoju, all of us, we kind of went and were the first set at Relativity Media. And that was this incredible 3-week experience. I was like, yo, I came out with a little acting diploma because I believe in education. And
training as an actor.
Yeah. And after that, I was like, okay, Nollywood, I'm ready. And there were crickets.
How long were the crickets there for?
I just said the crickets were there. The crickets were there for like a year or two. I remember even reaching out to Lala. I don't think she remembers this, but she gave me great advice. She was like, well, that's part of what your social media is because what you're posting a lot is your radio stuff. So top of mind awareness, I really only think of you as a radio person. But if you post any of your acting stuff, of which I didn't have a lot, I had a few things I'd done. But every time I would post something, I would see people would be like, oh. And so that's what happened. And the O's just joined together. And so the work started coming a little bit more after that because I would also talk about it more because I felt less like an imposter, even though I still felt like an imposter. But I was like, well, I'm an actor.
Yes, not an upcoming, not a new, not anything, just actor.
Yeah.
So what was the official first acting job here?
Can I remember? It might have been Lara and the Beat, you know.
Really?
Because we filmed Lara and the Beat years ago.
Wow.
Yes. And, you know, my career isn't as long as people would imagine. It can feel like it's been ages, but if I got into entertainment at all in 2012, that's not very far away from now. It's been a very short time, actually.
It actually feels like you've been acting longer for some weird reason.
I mean, I have my whole life. I set up plays for my grandparents. I have the videos. But yes, and that's also something even I tell myself. I'm like, you've achieved an incredible amount in a very short space of time, relatively.
Amazing.
People's careers, Kevin Hart's career stories is such an important one, I think, for all people who are worried about how long things are taking, because the first 20 years of his career was nothing.
20.
Yeah.
That's enough
I
to give
believe
up.
so. I could be wrong, but I believe Kevin Hart had
Start
been
in
working.
95 and
Yeah.
just move on with life.
I believe Kevin Hart had been working for about 20 years before, like, Soul Plane.
That was even before Soul Play, not before these videos when I was seeing that. Wow. Okay, that's
So
patience.
put everything in context. Like it takes time. So looking at that, I'm like, I was like, wow, like people really give a fudge about my acting. Like this is kind of cool. But I believe in skill development. So using it as much as possible. The more you do something, the better you get at it.
Funny that you mentioned skills.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to say, as an actor, like people actually hardly focus on skills. They just think acting is just acting. It's just acting.
Ha.
So for you, like, what are some skills that you realize are required for the job?
Vulnerability. And vulnerability is a skill. You have to work at vulnerability. To allow an emotion to surface is an act of being vulnerable. You literally have to let go. And it's not our natural state to let go. What we do or what we're trained to do is put on facades. We put on an act. We put on a this. When you talk to somebody, there's a way you interact with different people, and you're like, and somebody's now watching, and somebody.
Yeah,
so all these
exactly.
things box us in a way. So being an actor requires you to really risk looking stupid all the time.
Vulnerability is hard.
It's hard.
The only time I attempted acting, they told me to cry, and I just couldn't.
Yeah.
They brought onions. I was looking. I was like, I'm sorry. I didn't cry. It was so hard. And normally when you're cooking onions, you're whipping. But that day, my body was like, we are fighting it.
Yes.
I was looking. I was like,
Yeah.
sorry. They like scream. I'm like, I can't. My body has just locked up. So when you say vulnerability, like, do you go somewhere? Like, of course, depends on the role. Of course.
Yes. It depends on the role. It's a combination of things, right? So the vulnerability, the paying attention, but also maybe practicing. Man, it's really tough actually. How does one explain? It's practice. It's practice. So to bring about sadness, right?
Yes.
You know what that feels like in your body, but you have to be very conscious of it. When you cry, you don't think about crying, you just cry.
Exactly.
But what now needs to happen as an actor is when you're experiencing any range of human emotions, instead of trying to lock it off, you have to feel it. So you have to now remember physically what that feels like in your body. Where does grief start from for you? Where does sadness? For me, it's in the back of my throat. And it literally feels like I'm being constricted. That's also where panic is, right? And grief and panic for me feel very, very similar. And then it is cueing your senses. So if it's not things that you're seeing, so if it's not like the mood or atmosphere of the set that's been adjusted, it's music. Music is a big trigger for me. So I have playlists, especially when I need to be super emotional. I'll have certain music that evoke certain memories, but I try not to necessarily think of those things. I just try to feel it and allow that. And then if you've dug into your character deep enough and you've had the time, which is really difficult in Nigeria, you don't always have the time to sit with the characters. But sometimes on set, because there's a lot of hurry up and wait. If you ask and you know there's meant to be an emotional scene, and I know I did this on Man of Her Dreams with Victor Sanchez, and I said, just give me a bit of time. And I went outside and I had a playlist on. I was kind of going through it. And I already, and you can feel the emotion. So you then tap into the relationship connection that your character has with the other characters in that scene and why it is that they're feeling this, and that chemistry will work in your body and it will come out when the camera is ready. But it does require kind of stillness behind set, especially if you're supposed to be vulnerable. So I will ask. I ask my director and I'm like, please, can you ask the crew to keep it down? Because when they're adjusting lights and stuff, nobody really sends you.
Everybody's shouting,
screaming across.
Lights is adjusting, like...
So it's a skill set to block off everything else from the world, but also your team, because that's what they want to capture, right? So they'll help you if you just express that you need that. And then together with that emotion, because if you empathize as well, acting is a very empathetic skill set. You have to feel what this character's sadness and set and story is, so that you can truthfully as possible portray that. If I'm supposed to be playing a little girl who's bullied, like, I have to be able to understand what it's like. So I'm now this little girl, and you have to tap into what it feels like to be overwhelmed. So maybe you weren't in school when you were bullied, but maybe at your workplace someone shouts you down all the time. How does that feel in your body? And when you think about it and you make that situation real, like we do for everything in our lives, it comes through. So I don't know if that explains it, but
That's actually like a mini masterclass on.
sweet. I watch a few of those too.
Yeah. So thank you for that.
Big on skill development. So
Thank you.
that's what I do. Yeah.
Thank you. Are you picky when it comes to roles? Because you say your acting career has been short. So now, are you someone that do you grab any juicy role, or you're quite picky?
I think I'm a little I'm a little picky, a little considered. Not like I've been offered a plethora of things. I've been like, oh no. But I do need a connection of some sort to the story or to the storytellers. Because I've worked behind the scenes, I'm very particular about who's producing it. Because acting on stage is a different thing. Acting on stage, no one can misinterpret my performance.
Have you acted on stage in Nigeria?
No.
Okay.
No. Not in Nigeria, but in the UK.
Okay.
But that's, it's uninterrupted. It's a different skill set to film acting, because from the second you get on the stage to when the curtains are drawn, it's just you, and you're fully in character. No one breaks your flow. There's no lights you have to adjust mid-thing. The audience is seeing what you are giving. When you're acting for film, there's so many other people that are involved in the storytelling process. So if you don't trust the people involved in that storytelling process, then you may not, for what you desire or the way that you want your career to go, or the characters that you play to be seen, it may not come out the way that you want or that you're even particularly happy with. So I look at the whole thing. I love to find out what the story is. It's always nicer if you can connect to the story. But sometimes I may not connect to the story. I may just find the character interesting. Or sometimes I may not know until someone helps. Cool story is the men's club, which I'm in. I said no the first time.
Why?
Because I couldn't relate to the character. Because I came in season 3.
Yes.
And I was playing the role that another actor, Segi, had been playing. And first of all, that's already tough, because the first thing your audience have to do is suspend disbelief to even believe your story the first time.
Yes.
Yeah, I've done it in one character, and I want them to do it again. And then I'm also someone who happens to be a media personality as well. So that's like 3 times the work for your audience. That's if they know me. A lot of people don't know me, but if they know me, that's 3 times the work. So if I now don't relate to the character, it will be hard. I'll now be pretending, which is what some people think acting is. And I can't do that. So I'd already said no, but it was at the AMVCAs in 2020. And I spoke with a senior colleague in the industry, and she's fantastic, Najite. And Najite gave me one of the best pieces of advice. And I will give this to you for free, right? And she said, ask for the scripts for season 1 and 2. And read the scripts. If you read the script and you look at your character story in the scripts and it doesn't make sense to you, then let it go.
There needs to be a flow.
Yeah.
You need to see where it coming
because
from.
Where I met the character, I was like, this bitch crazy. I was like, what? She's just angry. So I'll just be an angry, angry. Why? But once I did that, I was like, no. I completely understand her story. And Lewis is a fuckboy, and we must come tell this girl's story. Because it's just this smiling boy
So you were
with
in
dimples.
the Louis and Lola triangle.
Yes,
Hey, God.
Antonia.
Hey.
Yes, but she's fantastic. I think Tonia's character was a really interesting character to play, so that was cool. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so now I think we've already answered this question, but I feel you need to be very specific, because I want to say you wear a lot of hats in this industry. You do it looks like you do a lot. Do you think you do a lot?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
So now you have to list.
Okay, so what do I do? The different ways in which I work in the entertainment industry. I currently work as an actor, and as a presenter and as a voiceover artist. I think those are the 3 main expressions. I am in the process of, and hopefully I will finish a couple of screenplays. They're spec scripts, so that well, you know how the vibe goes. It's just a pitch. I'm like, let me just pitch. And the reason being why I say sometimes it feels like I do a lot and sometimes it doesn't, because some work comes in seasons, right? There's ebbs and flows. You have very busy periods and you have periods where it's like, God, am I working?
Yes.
Should I panic now?
They know I exist.
Is this freak out time? Must I go camp at somebody's doorstep to be like, where's my job? But the other thing is creativity the ways that you can express yourself creatively is super wide. The spectrum is wide, and most people express across different types of things. So it's like singers that are actors, actors that are singers, and people say everybody wants to be a singer now, everybody wants to be an actor now, everybody.
Yes.
That's also because they were creative people. If you're a creative person, you'll have more than one way to express that creativity, and that's okay. Jared Leto is an actor and a singer, so is Jada Pinkett Smith, and she's a talk show
I always
host.
forget she actually has a band.
Yes, exactly, and her children are the same way, and we must learn not to limit each other in our creative expressions. Plus, especially if you're in film, you're in a collaborative process. So I think it behoves you to understand as much of each aspect of that process as you can. So while I'm not a sound engineer, like I understand the basics of what I need to record field sound, to record within a studio. I have my own studio set up because I do voiceover recordings myself. And that's a big way in which it's one of my big streams of income as well, being a voiceover artist. I'm a front of camera actor, but before even getting there, I'm a producer, first of all. So understanding how to pull people together and what's important, and timing being everything, being a radio host, time. So it depends. I've learned now in my 30s to really prioritize and to block off big chunks of time for particular things I'm interested in. So you do need to start being picky with what you want to spend your time doing. Only because if you pick something that you don't really care about, that thing might prevent you from doing something else further down the line that you really care about, but you've committed to something.
Because a lot of people are actually afraid of being picky. They fear being picky will cost them a lot of jobs. And if they feel, I don't have a second job to lean on, I just have to take this so I can pay my bills and all of that.
So, yes, that's a valid concern. And
Yeah.
money concerns are always valid concerns, but we can probably live on a bit less than what we live on if we look very realistically. So you have to decide what you want for yourself. If you're always chasing money, you'll not have the type of career that you possibly want. If career is what you're after. If you are looking, and I'm saying career because it's long.
Yeah.
Anthony Hopkins is the oldest Oscar winner for Best Actor ever. How old is he now? 90-something, 80-something?
I don't know. He looks really old.
He's an elderly man.
Yes.
He's that Welshman has done well
An
for
elder.
himself. But he's been able to do that because he's built a career. He was not a movie star guy like, the hottest flame, the hottest, and then where is he? He built a career, and you have to sit in that. And when you build a career, it means being punctual. It means being disciplined when you're on set. It means helping the creative process, because producers take note of that. If you make my life easy as a producer, I'm going to want to work with you again.
Producers, like anybody, that'll make their
Just
life
make
easy.
my life.
Yes.
And that's something I've noticed, that as much as I love my actor colleagues, sometimes actors can be a bit not selfish, but self-centered.
Yeah.
Because you sometimes forget that the same difficulties you're facing, your producer is facing, but times 100 or times however many.
If you're facing
human
a
beings.
delay on set, now imagine what the producer is dealing
Exactly.
with.
And that's money too.
Yes.
And that's big money for a producer. So if you want a career, you really have to think about that. And when you're jumping from set to set, you're adding more stress to that producer. You're adding more stress to the entire production. And unless you are completely outstanding and phenomenal and they must just have you, they will replace you. Because every human being is replaceable.
Because speaking of set to set, like I've heard stories of an actor working on like multiple jobs, and unfortunately for continuity, came to the wrong set with the wrong haircut. And they're like, please just pack your things and be
get
going,
out.
because we cannot start. What you script your hair? Character is supposed to have, like we saw you last with the beard. Now you're looking like an egg.
Yeah, it's tough. And I understand that people do that because they feel they need, if I don't...
Because we understand the hunger and the...
But you have to choose.
Yeah.
You have to choose. So if you have the potential of... Okay, if I put it this way, you have like 4 or 5... No, let me just say 2, because 4 or 5 is even giving me stress. Even trying to add. Like, I don't even know how people do 2, but let's say somehow 2 jobs, and not that they've overlapped too, that you took on 2 jobs simultaneously. And you're like, it's only 1 week, I can manage it, I can figure it out. And then Lupita Nyong'o shows up, and she's like, we want you on board because they're shooting The Woman King in South Africa, and we need an extra person to come in, and this would be... you have jumped from those two. Are you going to leave those two and then go to
But
Lupita?
of
No
course.
problem.
Some
Say
people-
tell Lupita yes. Tell Lupita yes.
But that
Then-
Lupita's job will finish.
No, just wait. Even before you finish, then the Woman King, because of slight COVID concerns, decide that your character is scrappable. So they scrap your character, and you have to come
Tears.
back to Nigeria
Hot
and face the
tears
people
that you left.
that you left because it's a small industry.
And trust this industry. So you call you Lupita. That's your new name.
Hey,
Like,
yes,
don't
Lupita.
hire Lupita again.
No.
She will leave your set.
Some people are discussing casting who to invite. You will be the person. And you know, and it's not about being likable. It's just about being professional.
Yes.
So be professional about it. And sometimes you have to sacrifice, and it's tough.
And you actually have to treat it as a job.
It is-
'Cause
it's a
again, I
job.
feel like all the conversations I've had, we need to come back to that point where people need to realize creativity, yes,
Yeah.
but it's a job.
And in practical terms, invest your money in actors. Like, do a job with a solid group of people that have 9 to 5s. Don't go and do it to
Yeah.
fellow actors where you're not sure the money may come back. I mean, it depends, but think of different ways that you can raise funds and multiple streams of income again. It's better for you to be an actor and a voiceover artist that you're doing than for you to just be,
Just put yourself in that.
in
I'm
one-
an actor.
yes.
But I know
can't do anything else.
Even me, I faced that difficulty when I was like, oh, I'm only a writer. I'm just going to put myself in this. Then I realized, oh, that's not sustainable. You can't survive only as a writer. Even creatively can't even do
Exactly,
that.
because life is about so much more. So
Yeah.
just look for things that actually genuinely interest you,
Yeah.
things you're actually passionate about. You could start. There's nothing stopping you from starting a YouTube show,
Yes.
and in that YouTube show, you'll start doing ad placements for people, like whatever. Figure it out. Everybody shoot your shots. The faster you try, the faster you can fail. And I wish I tried faster for some things in my 20s. I mean, I've done well.
yeah.
Pat on the back. I have to
Yes.
remind myself.
Yes, you have to.
But I still want to do better, So I try to be picky. I think that actors should be a bit more particular about what they're doing so they can build a career. And an actor whose career that I'm enjoying watching at the moment is Uzumaka, who's in Amo Fair. I'm enjoying,
yeah.
and you can see, you get a sense of, yeah, trajectory.
Uzumaka
She's doing
she's
this. She's
good.
working. And it's because she doesn't come across as someone who's, yesterday, I can see what's happening, and I think it's so cool. I think it's really, really cool.
Are you working on any project right now as an actor?
I want to say yes, but I haven't signed a document, so.
Fair.
But yeah, there are a couple of things that I'm looking at, and I got really cool. Yeah, there's a few cool things
You
actually that have
paused, like, you
happened.
should remember
Yeah, because
something.
I just realized that I don't think I can say it because
Okay.
there are things in the works though. But
Hashtag something is coming.
the hashtag something's coming.
big. Yeah, something big is coming.
But I will say, okay, but I'm going to say this without mentioning the person's name, but I will say that whenever you have the opportunity to speak about your craft, go and speak about it. It doesn't matter whose podcast, whose show, whatever it is, go. Because you don't know who's listening, who's
Yeah,
watching.
exactly.
And that happened to me recently where a very huge person in the industry reached out to me and they were like, oh, I didn't even think of you as an actor. First of all, that this person even had me in their mind. I was like, oh my God, I'm having a fat girl moment. Oh my God. I saw that they'd followed me on both Instagram and Twitter. And when you just take a screenshot because is it really, is it fake? I don't know.
Yeah, you can't check is it,
but
is
then-
it verified thing real?
But then they went ahead, they found my website, sent me an email.
This is
and again,
research.
importance of putting up structures. So I've built my own website myself. I updated myself. I have my IMDb page. I've updated myself. Man of Her Dreams. I put that on IMDb myself.
Thank you.
Yeah, saying thank you. Why did you people not
Please,
put it
I
on
was gonna
IMDb?
do my own
So I can
IMDb.
credit to my yes. And all of this is because it's important to be as professional as possible. So when people are
Yes.
looking for you to present you with an opportunity, it's there. It's there to be found. So that happened, and this person reached out to me, and we had this lovely, long conversation. And they're like, I want to work with you, and I saw this thing, and I feel like you're perfect for this. So it may work out, it may not work out. But the moral of the story is put yourself out there, talk about the thing that you love to do, and even though it doesn't seem to make sense while you're doing it, you never know who's going to come across it.
Yeah, even
Yeah.
if it annoys people, they should be tired of hearing you, but it's fine.
Yeah.
Somebody is going to hear you and reach out.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Sell yourself. Say your
Yes.
market
You
because
have
it's your
to.
work.
Nobody's going to say market for you.
Yeah.
That's one thing people need to actually realize. People can recommend you. Oh, I remember this person, but you're the only person that will carry your matter on your head by yourself.
That's it.
Okay. So, okay. Fair. As a young I can call you young actor. You're not a young
Am I?
actor.
I'm young.
You're not a
Excuse
young
me.
actor. I'm
Youth is
sorry.
an experience. Is a state of experience.
When I say young as per like acting, this is not your actual age, please.
I'm also youthful in all. Excuse me.
You're youthful. Yes.
What is that thing they like say that you're like baby actor? Yeah.
You're not a baby actor, I
That's
beg,
me.
please. But the thing is, okay, we've spoken about like putting yourself out there and the good part of it. But like, what having your struggles as a actor in this country? Be honest.
My struggles. Main challenge is getting scripts on time, especially
that's
if
something I
it's
didn't
if it's a
expect to hear.
series. If it's a series, having scripts on time, depending on who it is that you're working for. I know it's a weird one to have.
Yeah, I didn't expect to
but
hear
it
that.
does happen because I think sometimes rewrites are taking place if you have like some of the 260s exactly is long.
Yeah.
It's long and getting all the information that you would ideally love to have as an actor ahead
Wait,
of
have
time.
you been on a 260?
I've been offered 260s and
I know you
I've
have
not
it.
said yes.
Why?
Because I feel that in itself requires a year of preparation from me. It requires me to say that, okay, that's what I'm doing next year.
Yeah. Because
And
the
I know
whole
that I
year-
block off that time and that's what my time is, especially if you're going to be a main actor in a 260.
Yeah.
If I'm a side actor or not a side actor, but if I'm secondary cast, I'm not like first tier, it's easier to navigate that and the other work that I legitimately have on my plate
Yeah.
as a radio presenter, etc., and these other things that I do and as a host, because I could be asked to travel at any moment, I could be asked to do this or that, and you need that. I can't hold up a whole production
Yeah, okay, that's
as the
actually
main
very
character.
considerate. Because some
Yes.
people will say yes, but when it's
So
time to film,
I mean, when I was offered, I told the producer, I was like, I want to, like, I would love to, but I'm worried about what that might mean because you are the ones that are going to have to deal with the effect of your
Yes.
number one character suddenly not being available because she has this commitment which she's made to another brand, which is ongoing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I hope I do get a chance at some point to be in one. But I think it's a huge commitment, a 260 production. It's a huge commitment from everybody because that's your work now. That's your
Wait,
new
whole
9 to
year.
5.
Yes.
Yeah, how do we get to 260?
We're talking about like delayed scripts on.
Oh, yeah, so problems. Other main problem sometimes I think is a lack of empathy from some producers and crew. Yeah. It's a real
You have to
struggle.
talk to crew members about empathy.
I absolutely have to. And the reason
God.
is, as frustrated as you may be as a crew member, don't forget, I'm coming from a place of having worked behind the camera first. So I'm not...
I don't think they see let's say actors or other people as humans.
Yes. Everybody else is secondary to what they're doing. And that's a problem. Because after you've spent all this time hustling to get your lights, you have done this, you're not asking a whole human being to dance like a monkey. And you haven't created any of the conditions necessary for that.
Yeah.
You're going to get trash. And you're responsible for the trash. And it is unfair to an actor who otherwise would deliver a much better performance to have to experience all of that stress, all of that strain, and none of the consideration that should come with that. Internationally, you get a fair bit more protection
Yes.
as an actor.
Yeah.
Even your day rate is guaranteed. But what I notice in Nigeria, especially if you're like an extra, is somebody can call you onto set at 10 a.m.
Yeah,
And
and show
at
up at 12.
9 p.m. you haven't shot anything.
Yeah.
And I think that's a horrible way to treat a human
Stay
being.
on set all day, and sometimes you don't even shoot anything. The scene gets cancelled.
Yeah, sometimes
gets
they'll
dropped,
cancel.
and like,
and again, all of this can be managed. It's not to say that will never happen, but you must remember, as a producer, as a member of crew, that you're also managing your actors' emotions. I know
Yes.
that as the light guy, you may think you're not managing my emotions, but sir, if that light is not hitting my face well, or if it hits an upset-looking face, everybody's work is trash.
yeah,
You know, and it's a very frustrating thing as a human because depending on the role that you're playing, you are being put in a very emotional state or you're asking me to be incredibly vulnerable, but you haven't created the ecosystem to allow this vulnerability to thrive so that you can capture it. I really would love to see some producers and some directors who are very technical minded. I've been blessed with a lot of people I've dealt with,
Yeah.
and I've really dealt with people that I can work with, which is why I say I actually consider both the cast and crew. So I ask, I'm like, who's producing, who's directing, who's editing? Those are key things I want to know. Who's the DP? Because that will inform whether I have a direct channel of communication to people who are most responsible for telling this film. And that's cool. So once I know, like, the gaffer is like, Mato. I'm like, yeah, I'm already happy. I'm
Yes.
like, smart people. I'm thinking, I see
you
a
feel
sound guy. No,
safer,
you feel
yeah.
safer. You do feel safer. And I think sometimes actors get a bad rap, not just internationally, but here, where they'll say like, these actors, drama. You tell them this time they'll not come, actors, hey, act. And I'm like, but you have to understand the incredible pressure that you put actors under, because Nigeria is just what it is, and expect them to perform magic.
I like hearing this side.
Yeah.
Because I won't lie, I'm on the other side where actors
know.
are mad. Actors are mad.
That's what
But
I used to
it's
think.
fair to actually hear from the actor's side.
Yeah.
Why are you mad?
That's what I think. So that's why sometimes you'll get an actor. I had a dramatic situation once where I threatened to shut down a set. Yeah.
Can you talk about this?
Not really. I was I don't want to say I was badly behaved, because I wasn't. I use that as a teaching moment, because I felt like crew had been really badly behaved. And the action that led to it had been happening to other members of crew. So they were doing it to themselves until by accident. And I know it was by accident. Someone did it to me. And so I laughed and I went down to set. I was like, ha ha ha. I just want you to know that nobody's going to shoot today. And everyone thought, Folu, it's okay. We're coming your scene.
Yeah.
I said, don't worry. And this is another situation where I've been waiting on set the whole day. I was on set from morning till about 7 p.m. So I was like, okay, it's cool. And as an actor, because you are more experienced than most people at this point in being aware of your emotions, and when you want to heighten or reduce something, I made a very conscious choice to heighten my upset, because I was like, you're taking the piss. You're taking the actual piss with other human beings. And that's something personal about me. That I don't think many people realize, or people who know me know that, is my sense of injustice is really high. I get really upset if I feel like you are pushing people around, or you're messing about with people, or even with me. It's not that often I stand up for myself, but when I do, I'm like, okay, how you feel about me is your business. That's when I get into that space. So I said no until the person who did this thing comes to me privately. You don't have to in front of everyone to tell me. I'm not going to be on set. Do what you film everything else. Just don't involve me. Eventually I did film, because also I'm a producer, and it's a mean thing to try and fuck up a producer set. I mean, I apologized to the producer later on, but I told her all the circumstances that led to that moment.
The lawyer jumped out.
Yeah. And I just feel like people are humans. Actors are humans. Just be respectful of the human beings that you have around you in general. And everybody be fine.
Yeah. A crew is actually it's human resources. Human resources work.
What?
People don't.
Yes, it's human. That's all.
You're
Just
managing
emotion.
Just
Managing emotion. That's your whole job, is managing.
stressful.
And that's, in fact, when a great AD is someone who knows how to manage their crew and manage the actors' emotions.
Because I've actually dealt with a horrible AD where I think I was so
There are
close
many.
to crying. I was like, I swear for you right now.
Yes,
Horrible behavior. You don't know how
Yeah.
to tell someone that, this thing is going to be dropped. You're not yelling at
Yes.
me. I'm not the reason for your pain.
Because some ADs think that's their job to shout.
Yeah, they just say
5 more minutes. I'm like, bro, why are you shouting at? Whose name are you calling? What is that?
we're all here. We are waiting.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really human management on a set. So, since you left law, I don't think you don't regret it.
No, I don't regret leaving. I really enjoy the life that I have now and the creative expressions I have. I do always wonder, because also I'm an actor, I'm a storyteller, right? Where would the story go if it went this other way? Which is why actually the series Eve was such a big one. I auditioned for that main role for quite a long time.
I remember your audition.
Yeah, it was so long. Oh my
Yes.
God, it took forever. They auditioned me for 3 months. I was like,
Yeah.
guys, why? I was like, this is my life.
I mean,
Pick
to
me
be
or don't
fair,
pick me.
a lot of people were rooting for you.
I know that. But again, and this is another lesson for actors out there. When people say no to you, it's not about you. It's about what they feel the character should look like. It's about a picture some people have in their heads. And at the end of the day, producer has that decision to make, or the exec producer, whoever's responsible, or wherever that thing is going to be shown, right? They're the ones that decide, well, this is what this looks like to us. So it's not about your skill set. It's not about your experience.
It's not personal.
It's not personal. It's just business. It's just business. That's it. So, yeah.
It's another reminder that because they didn't pick you for that role, does not mean another one will not.
Come
And they always
exactly.
remember you. Especially
Exactly.
you auditioned for you said 3 months.
Yeah, it was long. I
And
couldn't
you ended
believe
up
it.
getting another show.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. So-
Exactly. Completely different show, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
It's excellent. No, so it's been good.
all true. No low moments at all.
As an actor?
Well, let's talk about acting.
Or,
Yeah.
or as a
Which one do you feel more comfortable talking about? Acting or producing? Like, have you had any moments where you're just
Oh
like,
my God, producing. I thought I was going to die after I produced Skinny Girl in Transit
See,
1. Oh my
you
God.
did-
Yeah, I
see,
was a producer for Skinny Girl in Transit season
let's
1.
talk about that.
Oh, right. Yeah,
Why
yeah,
do you
yeah,
think you're
yeah.
going to die, please?
Because it was like the first like series I produced. It was even though it was a web series. And it was everything I'd been doing, but like more. And everything that could go wrong, I felt did go wrong. And I thought I was failing at my job. I was like, I'm going to be fired. This is not...
Was that the only season you produced?
Yes, because I left Ndani after Skinny Girl in Transit because that's when I decided to pursue my front of camera objectives.
So you never
That's when I went
started
back
on
to radio.
anything for Ndani? Like, you were never in front of the cameras, like, as an actor for Ndani?
No, only
Oh.
in Frostbite. I was fully a producer and a presenter at Ndani. So my only real front of camera was shooting the travel show, but I produced a number of other things.
For some strange reason, my brain chooses to believe you were in Giddy Up. I don't know why.
No, I was never in Giddy Up.
don't know why,
I know, right?
like,
No, I was
I
never
keep
in Giddy
saying,
Up.
She was in Giddy Up. I don't know.
No. I was never in Giddy Up. No.
Okay, so
Oh,
let's talk
Giddy Up.
about
Good old
the
times.
skinny girl moment where you felt
Yeah,
like you're
Skinny
going
Girl
to die.
and because there was just so much. I think even how the show started with me and I loved... No, actually, it was after everything came out that I loved it. Whilst producing Skinny Girl in Transit, I was like, my body can't physically sustain this much pressure because I wasn't really sleeping. I was barely eating. I was running around. I'm really considerate of people. And I think at the time I was considerate to a fault. So I was expending a lot of my own, not just physical energy, but emotional energy, managing everybody else's emotional energy. And naturally, I'm an empath as well. So it just sucked a lot out of me. So things like, the location that I'd rented, I was like, oh, it's got a generator, it's got all of this. I didn't realize that they didn't have diesel in there. I had to go figure out the diesel while things are happening. This is slowing down. Rain started falling. This, like everything
Like
that...
everything will get worse.
Yes, a lot of things are happening. Obviously, it's shoestring budget. So, you're spending your own money. You're just kind of patching and patching. But I have to say that after the production season was done, and most of it was a blur in my mind because I was so tired, all of it. I think that's why I thought I was going to just collapse because I was so tired. The actors were all looking for me. They were like, "Wow, producer, why no, we miss you, miss you." I was like, "Oh." To be fair, I also used to do really nice things for people. Like, I'd buy donuts, pizza. Just like, guys, here's this. Eat this for today. Have this. Did you have a problem? Don't worry, I'll sort it out. Here you go.
A generous producer.
Well, because people are people, right?
Yeah.
They're human. So as much as you can, you want to make sure people are okay. Make sure people are happy. And that was the first time that I realized that you can plan what you think makes sense on paper, but the reality of production is experience. And you must put some respect on every single producer in Nigeria's name because their ability to multitask and to problem solve is unparalleled.
Because Nigeria, like, producing in Nigeria is, I don't even know what to compare it to.
It's a logistics
word.
exercise that's comparable to like maritime shipping logistics work or wartime logistics movements. It's about the same because you also
Scary.
can make a deal with somebody, a supplier, a vendor, to bring something at a particular time, and you have to magically estimate that they're going to come an hour to 2 hours later, so that they'll come early. And if they come too early, where are you going to store the food? I mean, there's so many things that you have to be thinking about and problem solving
You're
all the
feeding
time.
people,
So
you're taking care of their emotions, you're making sure they're safe. Oh, don't forget there's light issues.
yes, and you can just be shooting, and then some Agberos will just show up and be like, "Yeah, time to shut it down."
Yeah.
and
that's
you're
what
not
I
worried
would-
about.
Every time I hear that, I always wonder, I'm like, I don't understand from where to where.
Yeah.
Because I've been on a set where they just showed up and they just stood. Whenever they say, like, you clear this scene, whatever they call it,
Yes.
like, you want to film a scene with 2 people.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody at the back, move. Just stood behind the 2 actors. They're just looking at us like that kind of, come on, move me. And I was like, why? What do you want? Like, what will you gain from this? You just stand
It's just money,
in front
that's
of the
all.
camera and it's like, we're not moving.
Yeah. Because in Nigeria, street boys now equate cameras with money.
But is it a Lagos thing?
No.
Or is it a Nigeria
It's a
thing?
Nigeria thing.
Okay.
It's not Lagos. I think in certain parts of Nigeria, maybe people are more chill. But places where people recognize what it is that you're filming, people like film. Then they watch
As soon
film.
as they sniff the camera, like, people are here.
Filming. People that have experience, or street boys that have experience with seeing people filming, know that camera is the most important thing
They just
to
go,
you.
and they
That's
actually
the
pick
first
up
thing
the
they threaten.
cameras.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the first thing they threaten is the camera.
God.
Because they have learned now that if you threaten somebody's camera, then go peel out.
Producers will do anything for their cameras.
Yeah, it's sad. But even like here in Lagos, there's like off Legali. I remember filming something with a drone years and years back, and I was just driving and filming us with the drone. And these boys just stood up, just why they film? Why they film for here? What did they film? I was like, I don't understand.
What do they want the drone? What do they want to do with it?
I don't feel paranoid. Why do they film us? They film us. Bro, we're not interested in you.
We don't know
It's
you.
not you, but ignorance and just see. Don't argue with an ignorant person. They will beat you with experience.
Quotables,
don't-
she keeps dropping them.
Just pack your bags and be going if you can.
Yeah.
If you can't, I
You
hope you have
actually-
a fund for
to
the
be fair,
Agueros.
you actually get exactly at some
If
point
you're
you get
filming on the street,
frustrated.
yes, it's frustrating. I mean, you can only do what you can do, but the reality of that in Nigeria is because we don't have permits. That's the equivalent of a Nigerian permit. It's basically go and organize whoever is on that street. So, and you know, say boys day streets. Go and
Yeah.
figure it out.
Sometimes
that,
you even
yes.
cast them inside. Just say, come on, stand
Exactly.
here. Come on, do extra.
Exactly.
Be useful for once.
Exactly. So it's figuring it out. It's a real people skill. But if you can steal your shots and be moving. Don't waste time, because the longer you stand out on the street with a camera, the more attention you're going to attract. So if you know you don't have a choice and it's an elaborate scene you're setting up, you're somebody with a higher budget, you want nice lights and you're going to attract attention,
Yeah.
just peel out.
And the actors, if you have like big faces,
If you have big face, you have no choice.
Yeah, I remember when we had Mercy Johnson and we could not move them. They just refused. They just
Of
stood.
course.
They formed like this huge circle. I
Of
was
course,
like,
that's the equivalent of putting like Davido on the road. Are you dizzy? I wanted to drink pepper soup with Dizzy with Olamide. I love Olamide to bits. He's like one of the coolest people ever. And we have a nice historical working relationship, which is dope. And he was saying, we have not hung out, so Folu, I never see. I said, let's go drink pepper soup now, which is what we did years
Casually.
ago. Yeah, because casually years ago, I took him out for pepper soup and we just gisted and stuff. But he's so much more blown now, and he's like, Folu, I know fits. Then
He
go mob
can't.
me. I said, what? But it had never really
and
occurred
it's
to
so,
me.
like, I'm sorry, like, it didn't even occur to me that they're also so aware of that.
Yes. And it's the way he said it. Like, I felt for him. Like, that was the
Like, oh,
first
wow.
time that empathetically I'd connected with a
Yeah.
Nigerian superstar. I'm like, yo, like, you can't just, may I just stroll down here? Or let me just drive, no tints.
Can't.
That's the first time I began to understand that this tinted window stuff is important for some people.
You just glue that helps to your window. That's
Can you
it.
imagine
They're
being
not
in
moving.
traffic?
They're not moving. And
You are
see-
Olamide in traffic.
Even me, I'm sorry. If I'm forming cool, I turn to my next when I saw Olamide. I always tell my driver, please excuse me.
I was in the car with my friend Sam once, and I remember, and this is just TV, like we're just, small MTV stuff. And we're in traffic, and this guy, my car doesn't have tinted windows because I'm like, why? That's long. But like, this guy just glued, and I think her face was in the magazine or whatever it was that he was selling. And unfortunately, she's yellow, so she's bright.
Aye.
So from far, they will see her. I was like,
I
no,
feel
you,
bright.
no, you. And he was attracting attention, and we were in traffic. So I was like, my friend, but my car.
As if he cares.
Made I not bust my window.
No.
Who ca- do I,
Even
see,
if you can put
my
his
concern was
magazine
if
in
this
that
fellow
win-
attracts enough human beings, they are gonna scuff the car or break the window. I didn't want to say that.
Sorry to that window.
I mean, I cared for my friend's safety too. But to be honest with you, it was my car. But
okay,
it happens. It's a
priorities.
different life. It's a different life for people. So yeah, camera is like celebrity on the road.
Have you had that moment before? As an actor or a presenter?
Where what
that
happened?
is Folu Storms. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, shit. Like it's really weird. Yeah. It's yeah. It's happening more and more, and it's like, oh, cool. And it's a very curious.
How does it feel?
Feels like people are hype about somebody else. No, it's true. It's true because you don't see yourself that way, right? Like how people see you is not really how you see yourself.
Yes.
And I also recognize that it's not like you know me. It's the expression of something I've done that you're interested in. So in fact, I'm curious usually. If that happens, I'm like, oh, do you actually know me? Does the name just sound like fancy? Because I also feel like it's a fancy sounding name. So sometimes people just be
Speaking
like,
of
oh, Folu
this-
Storms.
Wait. Speaking of this name,
Okay.
I don't think I've ever like researched or checked why you call yourself that.
Okay. Well, Folu is my middle name.
Yes.
It's Afoluake. Storms is because of an affinity with water. All things water, rain. I feel like it's a source of life. It changes things, but also think of it like a verb, right? It's an action. So if you storm through something, you are
Afoluwake is storming through this podcast.
also yeah, kind of. It can be turbulent, but it leads to great moments of growth, I think. And I feel like in life that those are some of the best lessons that you learn, right? Because when things are super easy and super calm, you just kind of coast. You don't really pay attention. You're like, but some of life lessons, they come through storms. So,
Thank you, teacher.
hallelujah.
Zen
You know,
moment.
I feel like in a previous life, I was probably a priestess of some kind.
You feel or you were?
I don't
It's
know.
confirmed.
I
It's
feel
obvious.
I know, right? I could have like what do they do, like these past life regression things? I should probably go to a hypnotherapist one day and check it out. But
Yeah.
it can feel that way because sometimes when I tell people things and I listen to it, I'm like, oh, that's even a lesson from me. I should make a note of that. That sounds cool.
Write a book.
I don't know about writing a book, but we'll see. Maybe if I think of it as a source of income, probably. I feel like things need to be useful for me to put them out. So it's a lot easier having a conversation.
Everything she says, you guys, everything is just
No, but it's
also
because
a book of quotes by like words by Folu Storms.
no, but you guys considered this, and I'm probably more of like a reflection of the people I come across than myself.
I don't know, man. I'm not thinking that deep.
The reason I say this is because I don't sit down and talk to myself like this. I only say it when people ask me. So you have to ask the right questions to get certain things out of me.
So that means I'm asking the right questions.
Exactly.
Okay, I'll take
That's
it
why
like
I feel
that.
like
I'll
it's
take
really
it as-
it's
I'm
really a
taking that.
reflection of whoever I'm having the conversation with. Is that that's what you have, so that's what you see. You see people as you are.
Okay, girl.
Snaps. No, but I do read a lot of spiritual self-help books as well.
Yeah.
So maybe it comes out of my speech.
It does. Don't worry, it does.
Love
Okay,
it.
so let's do a little 2 truths and a lie moment.
What's that?
You say 3 things.
Okay.
2 things would be like truthful, and 1 thing would be a lie, and I have to guess an answer.
Oh God. This is like one of those party games that I suck at.
Yes.
I feel under so much pressure. So I have to say 2 things that are true
Yeah, I want.
and 1 thing that's a lie.
So I'm going
but
to
clearly they
guess.
need to be so true-like
Yeah.
or lie-like
Anyone actually. As
that
long
you
as-
don't know which is which.
Yeah, I have to struggle.
Do people really struggle with this part of the podcast? I think the tough part is choosing the lie.
They always take a moment, so it's valid.
What kind of things have people lied about? No, like I'm just sorry. I'll come back to this, but I'm
Okay,
curious.
we had someone.
I need example. I need precedents. Come on, lawyer behavior. Give me an example.
See, it's hard because
Okay.
different personalities.
Okay.
Like for some people, I just believe everything they say is true because it goes with their personality.
Okay.
So it actually depends. It depends. You have to just wing it.
And a lie. Okay, I'm gonna do 2 truths and a lie. Travel edition. I have traveled to Morocco. I have traveled to South Africa. I have traveled to Mozambique.
God, I hate when they're so obvious. I hate when they're so obvious. I just I keep setting myself up. I need to stop this thing. I'll go and look for another game. South Africa is true
Why is that true?
because I saw a picture of the South African tourism thing you did. See,
Good job.
Morocco is quite obvious. Like you want to say that's true, but then it's like Mozambique. Okay, the lie is Morocco.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
You are correct. Yay! I've never been to
See?
Morocco.
See,
I did
Morocco
set
is-
up a trip to go, but I never went.
See,
Yeah.
yay
Good job.
me.
Good job.
I think
good
this
job.
is the first time I've gotten in a while.
Good job. I'm
Yeah.
happy for you.
Thank you. Okay, so as we wrap up, these questions are always so generalized, but I feel they work. So it's up to you to choose how you want to answer. But it's like your most validating moment. And I also want to go back to, you said in the beginning your dad was worried about.
Yeah. My parents thought
So-
I was crazy.
Exactly. So right now, after like 8 years now.
Oh, they're super happy. They really got into it. I think once the VJ search, once I got to the top 3 of VJ search,
Yeah.
it started becoming a really real thing for them. What I was doing. I mean, they were still confused and still a bit disgruntled, but my parents are super supportive of what I do now. And they're really proud. Mumsy really likes to use me as a story. She's like, I'm so happy. And she fought me. Oh, hey, she fought me.
Aw, that's so
because, but she's like that. She's super expressive. My dad is a bit more chill about everything in general. Even with his upset, he speaks in very measured tone, or he'll blast you one time and he'll never speak about it again because he's like, it's your business. You learn or you not learn. Those are your options.
Fair.
Mumsy talks about it. She's a lot more emotive, so she talks about it more. My parents are very supportive. I'm very proud of what I'm doing. Always fascinated. I don't think they still fully comprehend or understand because I don't still
Yeah,
fully comprehend or
yeah.
understand, but they're like, okay. So anytime I'm like, I'm thinking of this, or maybe it can help like this, I go to my dad a lot for advice. because he's a lawyer. So just looking at things in very practical terms. Yeah, it's kind of nice to have them on board. It's not always easy, but it's good.
Okay, so like in these 8 years, have you had any like super validating moment that's like, okay, you know what, this is why I'm doing this, and I'm glad I'm still on this path?
Oh yeah, I've had a few of those. They've been really awesome. One of the earliest ones was getting MVCA nominated. My travel show got nominated for MVCA's Best Documentary.
Nice.
I think that was in 2016, somewhere around there. I have to check. It's terrible, but that was I was like, what? I was like, this thing that I sat down and edited with Bishop that we're not even sure as we were editing. How many times I changed the story? I was like, is this? That was super cool. Getting on my first feature film, Lara and the Beat. That was cool. Very frustrating while I was acting, but still very cool. Let's see. I got to interview, maybe not as an actor, but this is a presenting, which was cool.
Yeah.
When I got to interview Richard Quest of CNN. And then he tweeted about it the next day. I was like, that's, I mean, he mentioned my name, but I was
moment.
I was like, he's been around.
Yeah.
And he really only tweeted after we spoke, and he was like, Nigeria has these really intelligent people. I was like, you're right, sir. You're right, sir.
Just frame that tweet.
Yeah, no, that was cool. I know, right? I wish he put my name. I was like, come on, put the name. So he just put like the station's name. So I was like, that's okay. I was hosting the show. It was fine.
Anyway.
Yeah, so there have been a couple of things like that, I think, along the way. And I'm probably forgetting now. Oh, yeah, I won the Future Africa Award for presenter.
Oh, yeah.
That was 2019.
Awesome.
2018, 2019. Yeah, around then. That was cool. And it's a very cool looking award too. It's a big map of Africa, which as you can see I'm a fan of. So I have it on jewelry everywhere. So I was like, oh, cool. And that was dope. So I've had a number of those. Even when you work for big brands, I voiced for Google, I was like, wow, look at that. That's kind of dope. And it keeps happening. Like I feel like life is truly very magical if you allow it to be magical and if you follow your joy. Following your joy is very important. You will never work as hard or as conscientiously for something that you don't love as you will do for something that you love. But respecting that it is work. They say, oh, you never have to work a day in your life. It's bullshit. It's work. The things that you love will task you.
Yes.
And you will question it and you'll be like, is this worth it? Is it? But if you enjoy doing it, do it. Find different ways to do it and find ways to be valued for it and to be paid for it. And keep asking for more if you want more. You don't have to want more, but if you want more, ask for it. I have a counselor I'm talking to at the moment, which is interesting because I'm pushing for better mental health awareness in everybody's life. So I was like, you better push for it in yours.
Yeah.
And even my counselor asked me, she was like, do you ever get worried about people not liking you or this? And I said, you know what? It's okay to want nice things. And I really want nice things out of life.
Who doesn't want nice
I
things?
really
Please,
want.
let's be honest.
Yeah, we don't, we say who doesn't want nice things. But when the opportunity comes for us to ask for it.
Closed mouths don't get fed.
And
people need to realize that.
we have to remember it. Because it's nice to say in theory. Even for me, it's hard.
It's true, Sha, when they ask for your raise,
Yes,
to
to ask for a raise, you'd be like, if I ask this
Ooh,
person now,
see,
they'll
I'm
be,
asking for
you
too
start,
much.
yes, you are assuming that people are going to tell you no before they tell you no. They tell you no is okay, but at least ask.
Yeah, no, I know it's not the worst thing you hear.
I know it's not no for always.
Exactly.
No can be no for now. So
No, it's not no for always, though.
yeah. I'm saying that because I'm trying to get paid for more for things I'm doing currently. So I'm in that space now. I'm like, pay me my money. I work hard.
Even so now, I still get a bit like, hey God, to just say who is this one number.
Everybody
Anyway.
does. And I think especially women, we get really like, am I worth it? Guys would just be like, man, I bet me run them.
As in, even they
like,
don't
guy.
believe they'll get it, but they get it like,
Yes.
oh, okay, that worked.
And that's why I said, and it's because guys from young, it's because they chase girls, right? Like a guy is expected to ask a girl out, to risk. So they're a lot more comfortable with risk. It's not that they're not emotional, they're human,
Yeah,
like everybody goes through
exactly.
stuff. But that's a skill set that I think women who are career minded are only probably just developing. And it's something that we have to consciously develop. You have to shoot your shot many, many times.
Yes.
And risk embarrassment and many
Especially,
times.
I don't want to say especially, but I'm going to focus on this industry because that's what I know.
Yeah.
But I know shooting your shots is not a horrible thing. It's not embarrassing. They will look at you, they wonder who is this one, but later
Yeah.
on they'll still see you and be like, oh, okay.
Okay, yeah,
you.
remember, exactly. So you now become
So,
familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do that.
Thank you so much. This was
Thank
so
you.
refreshing.
Thanks. I spoke a lot.
I'll keep shouting quotables. But this was so refreshing. Thank you
Oh,
so
dope.
much.
I'm glad you're welcome.
Nice
It
to
was
have
fun. It was
you.
comfortable, guys. You made it like a nice, comfy podcast space. So I've enjoyed it. It's AC. You know, there's no lights in my house currently. So I really came here for the
Free
AC.
AC.
I live a solar life. So, you know, my solar
She
panels.
even lives a solar life. I'm
No.
tired.
Because you people
are
are
you
rich.
vegan?
You people are burning petrol.
vegan?
No,
Are
I'm
you
not. I do like meat. I thought about it as I was driving here and eating my chicken wrap. I was like, you know, in theory, this vegetarian life is so dope. But in reality, no. Maybe I can do once a week meat and then I continue eating my chicken. So maybe not.
Fair. Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
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 Thanks, guys.